A very good evening to all of you, and welcome to Stock Durbar with Team William India. So before we proceed with today's session, a clear disclaimer on the screen that the registration granted by the SEBI membership of BASL and certification from NISM is no way guaranteed performance of the intermediary or provide any assurance of the returns to investor. And investment in the security markets are subjected to market risk. Read all the related documents carefully before investing. Whatever we discussed today, like the stocks, the index, the levels, that are just for the educational purpose. Please do not consider it for as an investment advice. Can you see the Nifty 50s chart? Okay, thanks Hitesh for the confirmation. Okay. So as you, a very good evening to all of you. And as now we are clear with the disclaimer, let's begin with today's session. So last few days have been a bit tough for the market. Last time when we meet in the Stock Durbar, it was a very robust performance in the market, and what we were discussing about the new highs, right? And today, if you see, the Nifty has already breached its 21 DMA in the yesterday's session, right? And today also the fall continued, and it breached, it moved a bit lower further, and even the volume was a little higher than yesterday's session. So today was a distribution day count, that is number 4. We already had 3, and this is the 4th one. So if someone in the room doesn't know what's the distribution day, so distribution day is used to track weakness in the uptrending market. Typically, when the benchmark index, like Nifty in our case, falls more than 0.2%, 0.2% के ज़्यादा का fall on a volume higher than previous session. Previous session से ज़्यादा volume और 0.2% से ज़्यादा fall. So two conditions for a distribution day, and we already have a 4 distribution day. So when we have a 4 distribution day and Nifty is below 21 DMA, you need to be very cautious about the market. So that doesn't mean we are in a downtrend. So we will watch out for the 50 DMA level. If we breach this red line, that is the 50 DMA on a higher volume, distribution day count increases to 6. And even if we see that, I think this can be an important support. This was a high. Above this level, we went on a confirm uptrend. So if we breach this 18,888 again, in that case, we might go to a downtrend. On the flip side, if we reclaim the recent high, ठीक है, अगर हम 20,000 पे आ जाते हैं, then we will be back in a confirmed uptrend. But till then, you need to be very careful with your positions. See, broadly अगर मैं बताऊँ, तो in this type of market, when the market is a bit under pressure, वो जो एक अप्रोच होता है मार्केट में, कई पार्टिसिपेंट्स का एक अप्रोच होता है that winner takes all, right? So if you have that attitude or that approach in this market condition, then of the winners take it all, then it might be a bit difficult because the volatility is little higher. So there is a fight between bulls and bears, both in this zone, and it's very interesting to see who wins over here, if market can rebound from here and back to fresh high, or it breaks the 50 DMA and falls further, right? So that is to be watch out for. Now, broadly, if you see the macro data as far as the India is concerned, and that is not a major issue. Okay, so even if you see the July PMI, the manufacturing is very robust. 57.7 था. I think June में 0.8 था, but 0.1 का ही difference था. So this is the 13th consecutive month. So July is the 13th consecutive month जब हमारा PMI 55 के ऊपर आया. So generally when a PMI is manufacturing PMI or any is above 50, it means we are expanding, right? Below 50 is contraction in economy. So not only above 50, but since last 13 months, we have been above 55. So there is a very, you can say, a very robust demand, and the underlying domestic demand in India is very, very strong. And it is evident from these numbers. Even if you look at the GST collection, it was 1.65 lakh in the July, right? But you also need to look at some other aspects, that is in the US, the China, right? So US is still not expanding. अभी भी उनका contraction की side है, it didn't cross 50 sometime एक आध महीने बीच में हुआ था, but broadly it is not moving above that 50 zone. If you look at the China, it is playing around that 50 level. कभी 49 हो जाता है, कभी 50.5 हो जाता है. If you see recent few months, so there also there is no clear expansion in the economy. And I think yesterday वो एक news आया था about the ratings for US, right? वो AAA से AA+ कर दिया. So not larger implication, क्योंकि ये 2011 में भी हुआ था, because of the debt ceiling का जो उन्होंने expand किया. So this was a bit expected event. ऐसा नहीं था कि it came suddenly out of nowhere, क्योंकि debt ceiling का जिस तरह से expansion हुआ था, from there it is okay. Broadly, if you look at the China, it impacts lot. I think metal पे impact करेगा, chemicals पे, broadly the global growth पे impact करेगा, as well as the supply chain. So situation is not very strong as far as the China is concerned, but they are trying to push their economy. अभी recently देखो Monday को उनका वो 20 points का agenda आया था, ठीक है, to boost consumption and revive the economy. But broadly, अभी steel का we will discuss it when we are discussing the metals, about the prices of metals and all. So over here, if you let's again come to Nifty 50 setup. So 50 DMA around 19,100. Okay, 100, 125 K around 50 DMA red line. It becomes very crucial to hold that level. I think if we breach that level, then next level will support will be over here, the previous rally high, from where we shifted to an uptrend. These are some of the important levels for Nifty. On the flip side, if we see that 20 DMA is reclaimed again, and जो यहाँ पे एक छोटा congestion zone है, उसके ऊपर अगर Nifty आ जाता है, then it's again positive for the market. But generally ऐसे 2-3 दिन जब market का fall आता है, then need not to be panic, but follow the rules. Like as now we are in under pressure, so जहाँ पे भी एक अच्छा gain मिल रहा है, and if you see some bit of volume selling over there, or 21 DMA is breaching, then book the profit, right? Book a decent profit. On the flip side, if you see that your stock is making a loss, it is breaching key moving averages on a little higher volume. So ये volume वाला फंडा बहुत important है अभी के लिए. So don't miss that part. Not only the price action, but the volumes are also equally important. And see, important thing is don't try to forecast. Okay, be very clear with your levels, okay, and the market levels, the stocks that you are holding levels, because forecast में काफी problem हो जाता है. There is one very good line about the forecast, that there are two kind of forecasters: those who don't know, and the second one are those who don't know that they don't know, right? So please don't be in the game of forecasting, क्योंकि अभी सोशल मीडिया पे, व्हाट्सएप पे, टेलीग्राम, यहाँ वहाँ बहुत सारी चीजें आने लगेंगी. 2-3 निफ्टी इधर उधर हुआ, but broadly yes, you don't need to follow the forecast, but be very sure with the levels, be very sure with the rules. So going rule based is very important in any kind of market, especially in this one. Okay, because see 31st March को 21 DMA reclaim हुआ था. If you see the green line over here, 31st March is the date. वहां से 4 महीने के बाद, I think more than 4 months, so yesterday it breached 21 DMA. बाकी यहाँ पे एक strong support मिला था every time it had went near the 21 DMA. So need to be a bit careful over here. But yes, I think we have made it very clear about how we go to downtrend and how we are back in an uptrend. So now the focus is on reclaiming 21 DMA or the further weakness if 50 DMA is breached. So not only Nifty, but I have over here, if you can see the Nifty Bank, which is the one dragging the Nifty this time. So today, I think today's candle is not updated, but it closed just below its red line, 50 DMA. So Bank Nifty ने अपना 50 DMA भी breach कर दिया है. So that is a bit negative. So that's what added. That's why we have shifted market status from confirm uptrend to uptrend under pressure. And it's not only the Nifty being a reason. क्योंकि एक बार वो भी thought आता है कि भाई broader market तो सही चल रहा है. The mid cap indexes have closed in the green, right? But if you look at the broader, the sectorial fronts which are leading, so जो L factor है, leader factor, वहां पे जब भी थोड़ी weakness, whenever there is a little weakness, in the L factor of canceling, that is leader, you need to be very careful. So Bank Nifty has breached its 50 DMA. Overall, the results were decent. There's no much issue as far as the results are concerned. But this looks like a technical correction as of now. But let's see what unfolds ahead. Especially if you look at the PSU banks. अगर आप PSU banks का result देखे, that has been robust on all the front. If you look at the profitability, NIM expansion, improvement in the asset quality. So all the PSU banks have done really, really well. And that's what was reflecting in the stock price of most of the PSU banks. I think the elephant is yet to come out with result. जो PSU का elephant है, SBI bank का अभी result बाकी है. So let's see what unfolds over there. But broadly, fundamentally not an issue. But if you look at the rally, it has been really good over the last 4 months. So need to be very careful with the technical levels. So हर बार ऐसा नहीं होता कि फंडामेंटल को मार्केट फॉलो करता है, बट मार्केट इज ऑलवेज ahead of the fundamentals. After a good rally, there is always some technical pullback, and that's good. I think there's no issue. You can't always expect something to run higher and higher. The other important Nifty IT for the index. See, broadly, IT is under pressure, or you can say moving sideways since long. अभी पिछले 1-2 साल से IT में काफी प्रॉब्लम है. There was expectation that this year there might be some improvement over there in the IT sector. If you broadly analyze the results, inline to miss वाला एक problem है IT sector में. So see, there are two factors in IT. One is the order book. So order book is very healthy. No two ways about that. If you pick any company, their order book is very healthy. The estimates of the order book is also good. That हाँ अच्छा orders भी आता रहेगा, flow अच्छा रहेगा. That is not a problem. But the problem is वो जो order book है ना, वो revenue में translate नहीं हो रहा है. That is the biggest problem I think currently there is in IT. जब तक वो revenue में translate नहीं होता, तब तक वो एक revenue growth नहीं होगा. For that very reason only, lot of revenue growth forecast have been cut by many of the companies, or they have commented that it might be a bit volatile. ठीक है. So all the management, I think mostly consensus broader यही बन रहा है कि there can be still a near-term volatility, okay, due to economic uncertainty. Mainly क्या हो रहा है पता है, जो चलो ऑर्डर मिल गया, ऑर्डर बुक अच्छा है, but there is a delay in project start. So project late start हो रहा है. दूसरा एक problem I think if you identify, if you look at TCS con call, so they are highlighting that what the client is doing, that they are analyzing the ROI. अगर ROI बहुत strong नहीं है, if the ROI of a project is not very strong, even if the project is ongoing, they are hitting a pause button on the next phase of the project. So बड़े-बड़े projects होते हैं TCS विप्रो के पास, ठीक है. अगर उनका ROI इतना strong नहीं हो रहा है अभी के हिसाब से, जिस तरह से economic uncertainty है, so they don't want to spend extra. They are looking for a very very strong ROI. अगर वो नहीं हो रहा है तो वो क्या करेंगे, नेक्स्ट फेज जो प्रोजेक्ट का है वहां पे पॉज लगा देंगे. तो ऑर्डर बुक में रिफ्लेक्ट होगा, द प्रोजेक्ट इज स्टिल देयर विद द कंपनी, बट वो रेवेन्यू में ट्रांसलेट नहीं हो रहा है. So this might take some time to do. Maybe let's hope that H2, the second half of the financial year, there might be some recovery over here. But let's see. I think still there is an overhang of the rate hikes in the US and how the inflation and the rate hikes goes. So there's a lot of issues still pending as far as the global markets are concerned. Now, if you look at Nifty Auto, here also it has breached its 21 DMA. Today also, now I think it might test its 50 DMA in the tomorrow session. So today's candle is not here, but yes, it has fallen somewhere around 0.5%. But let's see if it can hold the 50 DMA. Here also, the demand is very robust for the auto. The results have been good. If you look at the result of the Maruti, the Tata Motors, they have been really good. Even the sales number इस लास्ट महीने का थोड़ा मिक्स था जुलाई का, but overall decent set, not a problem. Not only the OEMs but even the ancillary players are doing really well as far as the auto sector is concerned, and a lot of momentum over there also. Now let's see one or two sector more and then we go to your questions. metals have been a bit in the momentum. एक तो वो वाली story चल रही थी, the strengthening of dollar index, the increasing price of the ferrous, non-ferrous, particularly the metals. But overall, lot of metal prices are impacted by Chinese economy. And as of now, that's not in a robust state. The demand is not robust in the China, but they are trying to revive the economy. So on the Monday only, there was a 20-point, the entire blueprint was prepared by the Chinese authority to revive the economy, to get the things back on the track. But overall, that due to sluggishness in the Chinese economy, thoda metal ka prices नीचे आ रहा था. But the second part is that they are not letting it fall below a certain level. So China एक hold try कर रहा है कि एक metal के prices एक level पे hold करे. And second, there is expectations that before the winter comes, so China will put some more curbs on the metal factories, like क्योंकि वो pollution वाला कि चलो winter में ज़्यादा pollution नहीं होना चाहिए क्योंकि वो pollution बढ़ जाता है country में, so उसकी वजह से वहाँ पे भी थोड़े production limits कर देंगे, so उसकी वजह से it is expected that the prices में इतना sharp fall नहीं आएगा metal prices में, and that's what I think. It's a mix over here as of now. Broadly, itna demand nahi hai, but the authorities are not letting the price to crash. Okay, if we look at the realty, here our domestic demand is very good, and I think most of the realty players have reported a solid set of numbers, and even the further estimates for the numbers are quite good. If you just look at FMCG, here there is a mixed set of numbers for FMCG, and I think few large companies are yet to report the numbers. But I think this one has breached its 50 DMA. अगर आज का कैंडल हम डाल देते हैं, so यहाँ पे भी एक 50 DMA का breach हुआ है FMCG में भी. So that's the reason why we are now in a bit under pressure. But we were also looking at few stocks. We were, as a team, we were discussing, जैसे कि बजाज फाइनेंस का हम देखो, ये 50 DMA कट कर दिया है. If you look at the मारुति सुजुकी, इसने just अभी 50 DMA कट किया. टाइटन ने कट कर दिया 50 DMA. Even Tata Motor, after a very strong set of number, बड़ा रैली होने के बाद 21 DMA के नीचे आ गया है. So these are all the factor that supported us to take a decision to go to under pressure, along with the 4 distribution day and key indices breaching key moving averages. Okay, so now let's go to your questions. Please do not keep repeating your questions, because last couple of time it had happened, so the things becomes very tough to scroll. Just make it once. We will try to answer as many as possible. So in this meeting room, we have with us Head of Research, Mayuresh Joshi, my colleague, Vakar and Rajshekhar. So we all will try to answer as many queries as possible. So the first question from Atul, Greenlam Industries. I think it was forming a very good cup with handle base, stage 2. But I think after the results, there was some selling over here, and mostly this was the result day, a reaction. And after breaking out intraday, it went back into the pivot and closed near the day's low. And after that, there is a sharp fall. So today it tested its 50 DMA, but tried to rebound from that level. So if you are already holding the stock, the result was good. I think the numbers were quite decent to this time. The revenue as well as the EPS growth was decent. Even the fund holding is increasing. The ratings are good. If you see the EPS rating, the price trend, the buyer demand of A+ is excellent. So now if you are already holding the stock, then I think 50 DMA is a very important level to hold, especially when you are a bit under pressure. If we cut the 50 DMA, then some decision needs to be taken about that stock. On the flip side, I think still wait for these levels to move higher. अगर फिर से it re-breaks out on a higher volume, volume बार देखना, re-breakout देखना पड़ेगा. And if it moves above this levels, I think ये 505, 510 में फंसता है. अगर उसके ऊपर निकलता है after re-breaking out, then overall the home improvement segment है, the demand is quite robust and it is expected to remain robust, क्योंकि जिस तरह से गवर्नमेंट का इंफ्रा पे फोकस है, जो हाउसिंग फॉर ऑल हो रहा है, अभी वो एक लग्जरी का नीड भी बनता जा रहा है. धीरे धीरे लोग लग्जरी की ओर बढ़ रहे हैं. दे आर पेंट्स भी फ्रीक्वेंटली करवा रहे हैं, अपना फर्नीचर्स भी अच्छा करवा रहे हैं, चेंज करवा रहे हैं. सो ओवरऑल दिस होम इम्प्रूवमेंट थीम इज क्वाइट गुड and this is one of a strong player over there, right? Okay, so next we can take Praj and Hindalco. So yeah, clear disclaimer again that the Praj is part of our model portfolio, MSI model portfolio. We added it on breakout over here. Overall, the story is quite robust. The ethanol story, the biofuel related story, and there is this renewable जो भी energy है through biofuels का जो है, इसका ethanol, all three things are playing really well. The order book is robust. जो export का इनका है, export में there's a much more demand from the export in the export segment also, and the growth as well as the profitability is expected to increase from here. The fund interest is also very good. You can see the number of fund is increasing. Even the ROE of 22 is quite decent. EPS is one of the best, 97. थोड़ा अभी प्राइस स्ट्रेंथ में लैग कर रहा है, अराउंड 55. प्राइस स्ट्रेंथ थोड़ा लैग कर रहा है, बट इफ यू लुक एट द बायर डिमांड इज स्ट्रॉन्ग. जब भी स्टॉक ऊपर जा रहा है, there has been a very good volume, and whenever the stock is moving down, you can see the volume is a bit thinner and that part of the zone. So overall, it's a good setup. 21 DMA and the 50 DMA, these are the two very important levels. You might cut some over here or exit fully after 21 DMA breach if the volume is high. If not, then I think 50 DMA is something to watch out for in this stock. बट या फ्रेश एंट्री अभी वो 7% ऊपर है पीवट से, तो थोड़ा वो जोन जो यहाँ पे 0 to 5% वाला एक आइडियल बाय जोन है, उससे थोड़ा ऊपर आ गया है स्टॉक. What are you taking?
Yeah. Taking. Just checking out some quotes. So give me Hindalco, then Balkrishna Industries. So I mean, did discuss about the metals index and I mean the ferrous non-ferrous concept as well. And considering the Hindalco on the non-ferrous side, you can see the stock is currently not in momentum. If you look at the last three results for the stock as well, I mean EPS has been consistently declining. That is, the non-ferrous are currently going out of cycle, and similarly your fund holding for the stocks have been also declining. The stock is trying to break out. I mean, but if you look at the volume side, I mean, no volumes are coming in for the stock even at the point of breakout. Plus, the overall ratings for the stock is also weak. If you look at the EPS, not the EPS, but the result for the stock is due in the next 5 days. So, as it is, I mean, we avoid taking position into stocks, where results are about to be due in just in a week's time. So let the result come in. Let us observe the results. For the numbers and whether it is whether will it be able to beat the street numbers or the street estimates or not. And considering the ratings plus the technical setups, it is clear cut and avoid that. Next, Balkrishna Industries. what Rushit is pointing out that the stock is forming a stage 1 flat B base, and overall, I mean, the early stage bases are good. But if you look at certain other parameters such as your EPS strength and the last few results for the stock, that has not been in good. Plus, the fund holding for the stock is also not in favor. And even the RS line and the RS rating, the RS line is kind of flattish at the moment if you look at in a slightly longer time frame. So, which is not a good sign. And there is no accumulation on the right hand side of the base. So, it looks like a faulty base at the moment. Plus, the result for the stock is due in 2 days. So, maybe there is some this knee-jerk reaction and volatility in the stock. And maybe if it's a good result, never know, the stock can break out. But I mean, you don't want to play the game of estimates. Plus, you don't want to enter in a time where volatility can increase. So, clear cut, I mean, again, in this stock as well, to avoid at this point in time. KSB, then Titagarh wagon. So, I mean, even with the weak market that's there today, you can see the stock breaking out and probably gaining 17.1% on really huge volumes. But I mean, Rushit is trying to point out is the 0 to 5% base. The stock is clearly, I mean, out of your buy zone at the moment. And I mean, people who would have caught it very well, but I mean, at this moment, I mean, it's not in the ideal buy range. And overall ratings is fairly decent. EPS strength at 90 is very good. ROE of 16 for the stock is also decent. Buyer demand of B plus is good. Your RS line is trending higher. But considering, I mean, today's moment, plus markets under pressure at this moment, even your 21 DMA looks pretty extended. I mean, considering today's action. I mean, those are holding can hold and trail their stop losses. I mean, ideally, I mean, if stock goes below pivot or probably some kind of a smaller moving average in this market, such as your 10 EMA, can also work for you. The Titagarh wagons. The ticker is not appearing. We'll come back to the query later on. No issues.
It should, no? What is the problem? Rushit is not coming?
No.
We'll get it sorted at the back end. I mean, in the meantime, we'll go to other queries.
You want me to share the screen, okay?
No, it's fine. I mean, it's there in your system. I mean, I'll check just a second. No, even not there with me.
You just have to put Titagarh, huh? That's it. It's Titagarh Rail Systems.
Okay, yeah, the first one.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay. So currently, I mean, the stock broke out, I mean, last year in August, September, as one can observe. I mean, broke out in October. And post that, the stock has gained nearly 289% from the pivot in 184 days, where a very one-side rally one can observe. And similarly, you can see the railway stocks, which has been in momentum for the last 1 year, not just Titagarh, but other railway stocks as well. I mean, price trend for these set of stocks or this industry has been, I mean, at the highest. And similarly, you can see for this stock as well at 98. And even in this weak market, it's able to hold, even the shortest moving average, such as your 10 EMA as well. Not even the stock has retraced to your 21 DMA. Plus, the I factor or the institutional holding factor has been increasing quarter on quarter for this stock, with the number of funds increasing nearly 13%. Plus, the shares held by funds also increased by 32% in the last quarter for this stock. And even this quarter as well, the stock did come up with a very bumper set of results. And even, you can see that after the stock came up with the set of results, even after that, the stock has rallied nearly 10 to 15% after that. So, those who are holding the stock, maybe since the last breakout, can continue to hold the stock, probably trail the stop losses. And if 21 DMA gets reached in future, then can probably book partial profits, considering the risk appetite, or full profits depending upon the risk appetite. So you can take it forward.
There are a couple of YouTube queries.
Yeah.
One is Central Bank of India. So over here also the numbers have been robust. If you can see the EPS growth as well as the revenue side, the things have been quite good. Overall, it has breached its 21 DMA yesterday, yes, but it was struggling around its 21 DMA for last few sessions, but the volume activity was a bit lower. But yesterday it tried to move higher, but it failed and it again breached its 21 DMA. So today also there was some selling over here, but a little on the lower volume. So no base pattern formation over here. So better to wait for some base formation. And when some cup with handle double bottom or such flat base structures are formed and the stock breaks out from that pattern, then that is the ideal time to take a fresh entry in the stock. But if you are holding the stock anyways, then I think the 50 and 200 DMA are very close over here. So these levels can be used as a stop loss according to owning methodology. Whenever the stock is going down, the 50 and 200 DMA should be, observed very carefully. So the other one was Thirumalai. So not only Thirumalai, but I think most of the chemicals stocks are under pressure. They are struggling. So it is becoming the new IT as a discussion hota hai. But yes, overall, that is also the reason is China, because the prices have been dropped a lot. If you see over the last few months, सारे chemicals के prices में sharp drop आया है. But I think now they are a bit holding at a certain level. Even if you see the Tata Chemicals ने soda ash का price almost 18 to 20% they have reduced in last few months. But it looks like now the prices are stabilizing. China is also trying to revamp its economy. So let's see how the thing goes. But I think due to the lower prices of chemicals, most of the chemical companies are under pressure, and Thirumalai is one of them. So if you can see over here, it was struggling around its 50 and 200 DMA, but since last 3-4 sessions, the action has been a bit positive over here, you can see. But still it is, you can say 20% off highs. So let it improve technically. जो technical damage हुआ है उसको improve होने दो. इसका तो EPS भी बहुत खराब है, ठीक है. So एक आध दो क्वार्टर का अच्छा रिजल्ट, 1 or 2 quarter good result, improve in fund holding, base formation. So lot of things needed over here to qualify for the O'Neill's criteria. But if you are already holding, then I think yes, again that 50 or 200 DMA should be used. But broadly, for a fresh buying, there is still some time needed, or you can say a bit more time needed over here to improve on all the fronts to qualify as a CAN-SLIM stock.
Yeah, Rushit, thanks for that. I'll just add a couple of pointers here. Just a quick take on the sector as a whole. One, you should be looking at this sector from two perspectives. One, commoditized chemicals, and one, absolute niche specialty chemicals, right? So commodity chemicals, like Rushit was mentioning, soda ash, right? China is a big producer and supplier for most chemicals across the world. But for commodity chemicals, they are just dumping all these commodity related and commodity based chemicals all across the globe. So I think what has basically happened is three things. One, because of shortage of demand or lack of demand, you're basically seeing anyway trends for end user products and companies across sectors which use these chemicals actually curtailing their demand. And because of this, even if input prices have come off, the end product prices have come off even more. So you can imagine the incremental damage that is happening over the last few quarters. And that is happening across the chemical chain. You have a look at any number, right, that has come through. Whether it's Thirumalai that you're speaking about, right? Phthalic anhydride prices have crashed at this juncture because of the oversupply into the markets, along with others, as I just mentioned right now. You look at numbers posted apart from Navin Fluorine, where the management was very, very positive. You look at SRF, you look at Deepak Nitrite. So all these factors are playing out in terms of chemical companies, and in fact, a few of the specialty chemical companies in Europe, a German major and even Clariant, which is a Swiss group, has actually given out profit warnings. So inventory destocking, excessive supply, product prices falling more than input prices are obviously key components on why chemical stocks have been underperforming and might underperform till you see some element of revival happening at the end demand front. Few stocks which can hold up in this entire carnage, right? Something like Navin, where the commentary has been positive. They said that the plant which had shut down, an expectation of CSM, CDMO book improving might be a justification for numbers holding out. Or some of these contract manufacturers for bigger companies like an Amy Organics, where there has been contract manufacturing which is happening, and the processes that they have initiated in terms of manufacturing electrolytes needed for the EV ecosystem. I think you need to be a little bit more careful in this space, like Rushit was rightfully saying. I think a lot of RS strength has come off, EPS strength has come off for most stocks within the sector. And therefore, if you see, I think we have been off, right? Because we could see the initial signs a few quarters back, which was getting played out on all these macro factors. So, you have to be a little bit more cognizant in terms of how the industry classification is happening. There is a classical filter for that. And along with that, how are these stocks behaving in terms of both macros and the micro adjustments that they're going through? But it's a very tough time. Even agrochemical companies, have a look at companies like UPL, right? They actually reduce their guidance because there is no confirmation in terms of when demand will revive and when prices will come back, and when they will have pricing power coming back to these to themselves across economies and geographies as well, including LATAM and Eastern Europe, which is clearly struggling. So a little bit more careful in this aspects. Sorry, Rushad, you can go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. It was very helpful for all. So next, we have an query on Neuland Lab. The stock has been in a very, very good momentum, and its key business over here is the generic API manufacturing, and the results have been very robust. If you see the last few quarter results, the EPS has increased to 65, right, which was somewhere around 17, 729 at Tata. So there's a very huge increase in the EPS. Even if you look at the sales has almost doubled from the last year. Agar March 22 ka dekho, there was 255, and this time in March 23 there was 407 crore. So the fundamentals have been really robust for Neuland Lab. Even the fund interest is very good. If you can see, only in the last quarter, जब ये एक major rally हुआ था, तब last quarter में funds माल लेके गए. देखो, 30% increase in number of fund holdings. So this is huge. And the EPS strength is best, the price strength perfect. So this is what something that we were looking for. जो मैं अभी पिछला वो chemical stocks में बता रहा था कि ऐसा कुछ दिखता है ना screen पे, then that is something which is very important. The buyer demand of A+, the best price, EPS strength, fund holding, earnings, ROE of 17. Right, so and a good base formation, like the base formation over here was very good, a consolidation base formation. Then from there a clean breakout, and then there was a very strong rally. So now need to wait for a fresh base to form because it's already 72% above its pivot. So यहाँ पे जब एक fresh base बन जाता है, then you can take a entry over there. Secondly, I think 50 DMA पे pullback आता है, that also gives an alternate entry point, a 50 DMA pullback. But yes, if you are already holding the stock, then today is the earning. I don't know earnings are out or not. Mostly they might not. But yes, today there is an earning. So if it breaches 50 DMA, then you need to protect your profit, right? And it's always good to book in strength, right? Like I was discussing at the start only, कि ये market वो वाला है कि winners take all वाला फंडा पे मत जाओ. I think it's trim your profits, cut your losses. That's very important in the market. Next, we can take Triveni Turbine. The stock has been consolidating and it is forming a stage 3B flat base, right? So that's the numbers were very good. I think yesterday or day before yesterday, the number were out for Triveni Turbine. So it was a good, decent set of numbers. Overall, it's in a very sweet spot. The tailwinds for the the business is very good. And if you can see last 3-4 quarters, the earning momentum is good. No two ways about that. Even the ROE of 23% is quite decent for this company. And the fund interest is also there. The numbers are increasing. So I think more than 200 funds are now holding this stock. So that's a decent number. The EPS strength is good. Even the RS thoda niche aa gaya hai. There were blue dots over here, but it failed to break out. So that's why a successful breakout is important. वॉल्यूम देखना जरूरी है. सो यहाँ पे ब्रेकआउट एक ब्रीफली हुआ था, बट वॉल्यूम वाज लो, राइट? तो जनरली दैट्स व्हाई वी ऑलवेज फोकस दोनों साइड में, बाइंग एंड सेलिंग. We call it breakout even only if it's a very huge volume. Otherwise, it's just crossing the pivot. उसको breakout बोलना, it's not a best thing to do. And similarly, whenever the जैसे कि market अभी नीचे जा रहा है, if your stock is breaching 21 DMA, 50 DMA, then look at the volume. If volume is extremely low, right, then you, if the gain is decent, then you might hold it sometime. But the volume factor is very important. But just don't look at the price. Both are equally important to watch out. So over here, let it break out. It's still 7% to pivot. The story is good. The ratings are good, right? And so if it breaks out on a good volume, then 0 to 5% will be the ideal buy zone. Above 430.5, yes, that will be the ideal buy zone. On the flip side, if you are holding the stock, then I think it just closed below around its 50 DMA. Thoda niche band hua. Yes, just 0.2% below its 50 DMA. But it is holding this 370-80 wala zone quite well, 380-90 mostly. So the base low can be used as a stop loss. Okay. Next, we can take Dixon. Yeah, that's something, the and news factor. You can say and factor as well. So that's why it was in momentum today with the news coming that the government of India has taken the action for to pause the imports of the power components of the laptops and the other electronic items. And Dixon is one of the very strong player in that segment. And you can see the momentum even in the weak market. It closed near the day's high, 8% higher. So it was oscillating around its 50 DMA for last few sessions, right? But today's news bought some good buying behavior, good buying interest from the investors, and the stock is approaching its pivot. So it has formed a cup base, but ये थोड़ा मुझे wide and loose लग रहा है. So this cup is very wide and loose. So whenever there is such a structure which is very wide and loose, the success is a bit less as far as the breakout is concerned. But one thing you can focus is about the tight area formation, what we always discuss. So let's discuss it for some 1 minute or so. So generally when the stock closes around the same level, right, for 3 consecutive weeks, less than 1% का अगर difference होता है, this is on the weekly. This is I am talking about weekly. So then we call it tight area formation. So after such a pattern which is a bit wider and looser, you want some strong tight area formation. So once you got some good tight area formation and then the stock breaks out, then there can be some decent moves. Otherwise, there are chances of a bit faulty base over here. But as this is based on the N factor, right? So N factor always leads the thing, and it is above everything. वो base pattern, so strength weakness होती है patterns की. So N factor is something new in the industry, something new from the government side, something new in the company. that's always positive for the stock, and that can drive the price higher. Ideal buy zone starts over here when once it break out from this cup base. Broadly, it's forming handle, but yes, it is still not the exact one. But yes, the cup base formation से अगर breakout होता है तो वो ideal buy zone. On the flip side, I think the recent lows can be 50 DMA and the recent lows can be used as stop loss for these stock.
Rushit Vakarya, I'll some questions. Can you give me chart for NRB bearings? Thanks, Rushit. So, I mean, bearings as an industry or bearings as, I mean, the group of stocks have been really doing well for the last few months or so. And I mean, the long-term prospects about the bearing industry has all been shared by Mayresh on his Twitter ID as well. And considering the long-term growth prospect plus NRB being one of the key players in the industry, still a relatively smaller market cap, but overall very well placed. And I mean, the handle was kind of wide for this stock, but the overall industry was in momentum, so that probably led the stock to probably break out on above average volumes and is currently trading in the ideal profit booking zone or something. Currently, I mean, looking at the ratings for the ratings for the stock is very good, and even the RS line is trending higher. Anyone who probably who have been holding into the stock can trail the stop losses to 21 DMA, and either if they don't want to trail the stop losses to 21 DMA or have a higher risk appetite, then at least should do partial profit booking in at least at if the stock breaches the 21 DMA. But on the up volume days, the price volume action for the stock have been very good, and that is why the moment around the key moving averages become really important for such kind of stocks. The next we can look at
Being
is
on this one, Bakar, just let's highlight SKF also. Na?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
I mean, this is just, I mean, ideally, guys, folks, we would like to answer all queries. For paucity of time, might not be able to do that. But generally, I think since we are discussing some elements of the market and some key sectors, because somebody raised the bearing thing, maybe Vakar, Roshit, you can just put your views here. See, a lot of activities happening both in terms of automation, in terms of EVs, in terms of manufacturing, and from the railway perspective itself, in terms of more orders coming for both metro coaches and wagons for freight as well. I think a lot of bearing activity is expected to pick up steam in the next few quarters because of all these elements being put in place. And therefore, as Vakar pointed out, I just tweeted a few days back, the bearing industry is expected to grow reasonably enough to around $3.4 billion in the next few years. From a placement perspective, SK probably looks good. मुझे चार्ट दिख नहीं रहा है बराबर. I think we are it's below the 50 DMA, is it right now in the pivot?
Or below the 21 DMA in the ideal buy zone.
So I think एक बार इस पे ऊपर नजर बनाए रखो. I think if you are looking at bearings as an industry, so there are three major players. There is SKF, there is Timken, and obviously NRB. Roller bearings has been a dominant part of the bearing industry, but slowly, steadily, I think you are going to see more aspects of value-added bearings coming through. CV sector को एक बहुत छोटी कंपनी है, Menon Bearings करके, वो cater करती है, but that stock has really done nothing, both from an O'Neill lens and from numbers perspective also. But out of the entire subsector of bearings, probably this is one stock which is probably looking a little bit better in terms of most key parameters. We can take Divya's query, Vakar, unless you are taking something else. So I think she was having an interest on Kirloskar Ferrous, and Divya also had a query on, since you are taking Kirloskar Ferrous, let me just pull out from the messages. And I'm just taking this randomly, guys. There is no bias here. And after that, we can go to a bunch of queries that customers had on Karnataka Bank. So Sarita had a query, Mr. Murthy had a query on Karnataka Bank. So I think we can do Kirloskar Ferrous and Karnataka Bank, followed by IDBI and South Indian. So we can cover this as a group.
Okay. Okay. Talking about Kirloskar Ferrous, this was like currently a stock in the buy watch list as well, and the stock did come up with this result, and that is why you can see the knee-jerk reaction in yesterday's candle. And I mean, after falling to probably the 50 DMA, found support near the 50 DMA, it's able to reclaim its 21 DMA in yesterday's session. But considering today's selling pressure in the market, the stock has gone below the 21 DMA. It's around 3% below the pivot. And what we always point out is that you should always don't disregard these stocks which has come down the pivot, and you can always these stocks can always re-break out. Why? Have a look at these stocks is look at the ratings for the stock. EPS at 92 is very good. Price strength of 87 and buyer demand of B plus, along with the fund holding interest remaining intact. That is, the fund holding for the quarter and quarter has been increasing very well. Return on equity for a 6,000 crore market cap stock at 22% is very good. And overall, the EPS growth might be negative, but the overall result for the stock wasn't that bad, and that is why you could see the knee-jerk reaction. And is the commentary out for Kirloskar Ferrous? Yeah. So overall, till the point in time, if markets come back in momentum and the stock re-break out, then it can really be a good stock to watch out for. Rishit, what was the next one?
We can take the banks, Vakar. So we can take, we can do it a little quickly because you can just mention it without any discussion on one thing qualitatively for time lag jayega. So Karnataka, IDBI Bank and South Indian Bank.
Chalega. Yeah, sure. So, today the stock reclaimed its 21 DMA on above average volume, so which is really good. But the stock also hit the power to pivot some days back, and it's just above the ideal profit booking zone. And overall, the ratings for the stock is very good. Fund holding for the stock is also superb. Plus, the last 3 to 4 results for all the PSU banks have been really good. And similarly,
just to interrupt, even at Karnataka Bank today, the result came out, and I think the PAT grew more than 200%. So the good result continues.
Okay, super. Yeah. So someone who's currently holding the stock can continue to hold the stock and probably trail the stop losses to 21 DMA, or at least partially book their profits at 21 DMA if 21 DMA gets reached on above average volumes. South Indian and IDBI. So talking about South India Bank, the momentum is clearly not there with, this bank at the moment. It's breached its 21 DMA, it's finding support near the 50 DMA at the moment. And even the selling has been on above average volume. That is why you can see the buyer demand for the stock being deteriorating, and correlating that to the fund holding. That is why, why do you see heavy volumes? Because the fund holding for the stock has been declining. So, currently the stock is not in favor. If someone is holding the stock, it's 10% from below the pivot. So ideally, the 7 to 8% stop loss would have been hit, and someone should have already exited the stock. If still holding the stock, should exit the stock if the stock reaches the 50 DM. Yeah, IDBI. So talking about the IDBI Bank, the stock is trading 11% above the pivot, so above the ideal buy range. Someone who is holding the stock can continue to hold the stock, considering the positive dynamics of the stock with fund holding, overall ratings, and your results have been good for the stock. Accumulation in the last 2 to 3 market sessions have been good. Again, considering your Nifty bank, plus your main market index such as your Nifty 50 under pressure at the moment, can keep your 21 DMA as your trailing stop loss for the stocks which are in momentum. Rishit, you can go ahead.
Sure. So there is one query on Coromandel. Need to refresh. I think some issue with the chart.
I think there is seems to be some error with the charts again. Just hold on, Roshit.
Okay.
खुल रहा है क्या? मेरे यहाँ भी नहीं खुल रहा है.
हाँ नहीं खुल रहा है. प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है.
नहीं खुल रहा है.
नहीं, ऐसे ही डिस्कस कर लेते हैं फिर. A few ideas. Kishan Chand Chandani had queries on tube investment and ITC. As far as I remember, I think tube investment is in the pivot. Results have been reasonable. I think if you look at a year-on-year comparison, margins came at around 12% compared to 10.1 year-on-year. Order book is looking reasonable for the electrical mobility business, because what these guys are doing is, apart from their engineering business, is they are rolling out a lot of stuff in terms of E3 wheelers, in terms of an HCV model. And therefore, I think the volume growth should start picking up significantly. On their mobility business, it should be okay. The engineering business, volume and value growth, obviously we'll have to look at the press release, should be reasonably better, because last time around they were very, very optimistic for the better part of next financial year. So numbers have been good. As always, we stick to our rules when it comes to market condition and the stock performance itself. For ITC, the demerger news has clearly played out, and therefore the kind of price correction adjusted for the demerger of the hotel business is largely in the price. Investors are now waiting to see what happens with the other divisions as well. Are you looking at more demergers happening? Is the IT part going to come off? Is the paper trading part coming to come off, or the paper part itself, agro trading part also, or are they going to come out as a separate entity, which leaves ITC with the core cigarette business itself? Toss of its butts, the stock has moved significantly from lower levels since it's broken out a few months back. Expectations in terms of business outlook on the core business remains okay, because cigarettes largely is an inelastic business, because even if prices go up, the number of cigarettes might go down but gets compensated because of the price increase. But largely what we've seen is that anybody who consumes cigarettes does not probably let it go, even if price increases go. Hotel business expected to have a decent show, not just now, over the next few months. When the World Cup comes in India, I think the third quarter and the fourth quarter are going to be superlative for the industry as a whole. So I think expecting a reasonable performance, and it's trading way above pivot levels right now. Cipla, Ramu has excellent numbers, and it started off the trend in the pharma pack. 23.2%, if I'm not mistaken, for the quarter gone by. They've given a guidance of 23% for the better part of this financial year. The key launches, Cipla is basically known for its inhaler business, right? So the inhaler and the respiratory part of their business is expected to have a good show, subject to the approvals that they probably get for their albuterol, which is a key inhaler ingredient and product that they're expected to launch in the US and the European markets. If they are successful in that in the next few quarters, you can very well believe that numbers, as the management is indicating, should show a good steady uptrend. US revenues at 222 million, better year on year, quarter on quarter. Margin performance expected to be better. They're looking at peptide launches. The peptide is a key, it's a key product where margins are extremely high. So if those launches, 4 to 5 peptides on what they are speaking, come through, I think this can be a good bet. I think it's forming a stage 1 base, if I'm not mistaken, very close to its pivot. The charts are running, is it now?
Yes, it's a stage 1 base.
I leave it at that. Just arbitrarily speaking, I think Rushit can continue with Tata Motors since I've completed.
Sure, I will take Coromandel and Tata Motors both. So I was trying to take Coromandel when the charts were not loading. So over here, the results was good. I think the two major segment for Coromandel, nutrients business as well as the crop protection. Crop protection में थोड़ा issue था, the revenue as well as the the profitability front. But I think nutrients business continued to do well, especially the phosphatic fertilizer. वहाँ पे volume growth was decent, right? And even the profitability in this segment was a very good one. And the company has improved its market share in NPK as well as DAP fertilizer. Both of them, they have improved the market share. But as Mayuresh has discussed about these fertilizer and the chemical player, overall demand thoda sluggish hai. The pricing में भी थोड़ा pressure है, so that is what hurting a bit. Otherwise, the fundamentals as a company, the growth this quarter, even in the challenging time, was really good. थोड़ा इनको margin में एक inch up इसलिए मिला due to the lower input prices, especially the gas prices and all these things were a bit lower. So overall, it was a decent set of number, not the best one, but yeah, it was a good set of number. One thing is little that the number of fund holding has a bit come off and the relative strength is a little weak. Otherwise, the EPS buyer demand is strong. So let it complete the base. I think you want RS to improve while the base is getting complete. Hopefully a cup बनने के बाद या फिर क्या पता saucer बनने के बाद एक handle बना दे. And I think a breakout from there would be something very interesting to watch out for this stock. So there is a question on Tata Motor. So good set of numbers for Tata Motor this time. Even they are, the A group share, जो DVR था, उनको 7 shares मिलेंगे Tata Motor के for every 10 shares that they are holding. So the outlook is also quite good. जो उनका JLR का business है, the profitability as well as the revenue is expected to improve from there, and a good growth in margin is. So here the problem in Tata Motor was always the profitability and the margin, but it has improved quite well over the last few quarters, especially in this quarter, and the commentary is really good. So if you see the last few results, they have been good. The number of fund holding has increased significantly. The buyer demand is very, very good. So if you are holding the stock, then I think it has today breached its 21 DMA. Need to be careful over here. Okay, it's trading above the profit booking zone. So according to O'Neill, can take some part of your profit. Otherwise, 50 DMA should be very helpful to you to decide on the how further you want to continue there with your investment. There's a question on HEG. So strong rally over here since in this year's rally. So April se rally start हुआ, उसमें almost I think it has doubled from 900 to around 1800. It went I think more than 2000. Yes. So the stock has almost doubled in this last 3 to 4 months. The last few quarter earnings have been really good. Even the tailwinds in the sectors has been good, and the number of fund holding has increased, the price trend has increased, the buyer demand is super. But the stock is much extended, काफी extended है अपने. I think the key moving averages, even if you look still about 21 DMA, the 50 all are a bit extended. 100 is around, 200 is around 51, but I think the 50 DMA is more than 15% from here. So need to be careful in these extended stock. Plus कोई इतना strong base नहीं बना था. So I think now if it forms a good base over here, right, then that will be very crucial to watch out. There is a question on Kirloskar oil. So again, a disclaimer that this is the part of our model portfolio, and it is currently trading in an ideal buy zone. So the infrastructure growth in India, the industrial growth in India, that is some tailwind that Kirloskar oil engines go for. So mostly every one of you might have seen this product or might have that in their society or in their office building or somewhere. So the power generating engines, the machines that are prepared. So this comes under the Kirloskar oil engines. So if the story is really superb, along with the infrastructure growth story in the India. If you look at on the consolidation basis, the results have been really good. Even the fund holdings is increasing, and the formation is very good. After the forming stage 2A consolidation in last year, the stock has formed a 2B flat base. थोड़ा tight area, काफी सारा tight area बनाया था. And if you look at the volume has been excellent while breakout. So let's see how the things goes over from here. But currently it's trading in an ideal buy zone. On the flip side, I think the 50 DMA should be used as a stop loss level or 8% from your buy price.
So Rushit, let's take last two user queries. One is Aman Patel and one is Bipin. Aman has a lot of stocks and Bipin has a stock called Equitas. So guys, I think we've already exceeded time. Anything we've missed, because Rushit, Wakar have been continuously speaking about stocks. We might miss something because even these queries might take 7-8 minutes. Once we are through with this, anything that we miss, please write a note to us, write a mail to us. More than happy to answer. So Aman Patel and Bipin Agrawal, I think we'll take that and end the session.
Okay, so I think for Equitas, the environment has been good. If you see the results are good, but recently it has breached its 50-day moving averages. So see, it went really good, like cup with handle stage 3 formation, and after that the rally was good, almost 30-35% of gain from there, right? And that's always the ideal time to book profit, 25% gain ke around in the ideal profit booking zone. So now it has fell sharply. It has breached its 50 DMA on a higher volume. Today it has tried to move a bit higher, but overall it is still trading below its 50 DMA. And one should be careful with their profit. If they have a decent profit, then if the stock fails to reclaim 50 DMA, then it's ideal to book a profit, because see, buyer demand has started dropping. So buyer demand drop hone laga hai. Even the RSS started dropping. So need to be careful over here. Fundamentally, it's good, not a problem. The other queries were from Aman Patel. So I think 4 queries. That's
was Paradeep Snacks. I mean Paradeep Phosphates. Sorry, it's Pratap Snacks. Paradeep Phosphates.
Okay. So it is, the stock is forming a stage 2 consolidation base. I think the earning profile as well as the technicals are a bit weak. So in this market, when you have a lot of other options whose base are very good, whose earning profile is good, fund holding improve ho raha hai, this stock can be put a bit aside as far as the current market scenario is conditioned. Let the profitability as well as the technical ratings improve, then you can chase the stock. Otherwise, overall, it's the business of the chemicals, the pharma, right? All these related chemicals, the business is quite good. No two ways about that. But need to give some time over here. Kaynes, I think this has been a very, very good story. So after the IPO, the stock has moved higher. It had formed a stage 1 flat base over here. And from there also it has continued its rally. So I think 20 DMA is very key over here, technically. Multiple time it has found support near 21 DMA. So I think currently the stock is near that level. So if it falls majorly below its 21 DMA, 1.5% below its 21 DMA on a higher volume, then one should be very careful over here. Because see, abhi recently jab wo naya high bana raha tha, at this point of time, there was no decent volume that was coming. So some red flag over here, when now it is trying to breach its 21 DMA. So if it rebounds, that's good. If it fails to hold 21 DMA, then need to book some profit ideally. And the second level to watch out for is the 50 DMA. वहाँ पे भी एक अच्छा support है stock के पास 50 DMA. Otherwise the story is quite good. And especially ये जो पूरा space है, अभी मैं Dixon की तो बात किया था, but almost similar to something like in the electronic components. So India में export बढ़ रहा है, India का domestic consumption is very high in this thing. The export is increasing. So on both the front, the story remains very robust for these type of companies. Okay, Bectors Food and Emudhra. So it has been in a continuous bull run, a multi-bagger stock. The results are due in 2 days. If someone is holding the stock, then 50 DMA should be used as the stop loss, quite extended from its 52-week lows. The number of fund holding is very good. It has increased. And even if you look at the recent results, they have been really robust. The demand, domestic as well as export, both is good for Mrs. Bectors Food. And the EPS trend, the price trend, as well as the buyer demand, all the ratings are well. So one thing, just if you are holding the stock, watch out for 50 DMA. If you are not holding the stock, then let it form a base somewhere over here. कोई base बनता है, उसके बाद जब breakout मिलता है, that is the time when you chase the stock. Okay, the last query for the day, Emudhra. It is extended from pivot. If the breakout was over here, यहाँ पे भी base एकदम wide और loose है. If you can see, it is extended from the base and now pivot, trying to find support at 50 DMA. 50 DMA is breach, then need to be very careful and maybe stop loss लगा दो या फिर profit को book करो, जो भी हो. That should be done over here. Otherwise, the EPS, the RS, and is decent. I think buyer demand has reduced. Looking at the recent over here, उसके पहले शायद ज़्यादा होगा इसका. But broadly, D is decent, but looks like it has reduced. So if it breaches 50 DMA, need to be very careful over here. Okay, so sorry if we have missed some queries. So as Mayuresh told, you can always write to us if you have missed any queries over here. So thank you very much. I hope this was a very useful session for you, because in every session there is a good learning for us, for all of us in the team. But I hope it was a very useful for all of you guys. And if you have missed a query, you can always write to us and we will try to respond as soon as possible. So thank you for joining the session. To be updated with the MarketSmith India's market outlook as well as the portfolio, you need to subscribe for the portfolio, or you can follow our daily big picture as well as in the morning. Every morning at 8:45 a.m. we have a pre-bell session. So we come live. Any of us comes live at 8:45 a.m. and we try to discuss the global market and how the Indian market is looking for that day. So do join at 8:45 a.m. tomorrow morning if possible. Yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you very much. That's it for today's session.